What's going on, Cowboys fans? Chris Daughtry filling in for Tom Downey. Not sure exactly how many more videos I'm going to be doing here, but this might end up being my last one because Tom is going to be back on Sunday for this Cowboys versus Bears matchup. They've been calling me Cowboy Chris around the office, so it's been fun being with you guys for the past couple of days. We're going to be breaking down some matchups to watch in this Cowboys versus Bears matchup. Before we get into some of those matchups, though, if you want the Cowboys to go to Chicago and dominate the Bears, make sure you drop a like on today's video. If you're a Cowboys fan and you're watching this video, I would expect that you want the Cowboys to win. So if you do, get down there, show it, and like today's video. All right, the first matchup to watch is going to be the Cowboys wide receivers against the Bears defensive backs. Jalen Johnson, one of the better, if not the best cornerback for the Bears, is going to be out for the entirety of the 2025 season. So they have four healthy corners at this point right now. Tyreek Stevenson, old friend Nashawn Wright, Nick McLeod back there, and Josh Blackwell all are healthy for the Bears. But, I mean, honestly, Tyreek Stevenson and Nick McLeod had really, really bad games against the Lions last week, and hopefully the Cowboys can go out there and take advantage of it and do the exact same thing this week as well. Both guys gave up 97 yards, not combined. Individually, they gave up 97 yards. And they also gave up 3 touchdowns. That coverage grade was really, really bad. And I do think this Cowboys wide receiver room is just looking better and better, throughout the 2 weeks of the season. CeeDee Lamb obviously had the drop issues in the first week of the season, but then I thought last week bounced back and had another pretty good game. CeeDee Lamb also, going back to last year, 4 straight games now with over 100 yards. So I still have confidence that CeeDee Lamb's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Jake Ferguson has been stepping up this year, kind of looking back to that 2023 version of Jake Ferguson, and then George Pickens as well. They've been trying to go to George Pickens. He's been getting a lot of pass interference calls on the defense, but I think it's only a matter of time before George Pickens ends up really breaking out for the Cowboys this year. But it's kind of funny. CeeDee Lamb, still through 2 games, does not have a touchdown for the Cowboys. So I want to hear from you guys down at the pinned comment of today's video. Will CeeDee Lamb get his first touchdown of the season this weekend? Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no down at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, matchup number 2 to watch. It's going to be the flip. It's going to be the exact opposite thing. It's going to be the Bears wide receivers against the Cowboys defensive backs because let's be honest, the Cowboys defensive backs have not been good either this season. The Bears leading wide receivers this year, Rome Odunze, the rookie, the second-year wide receiver there for the Bears. He's their leading wide receiver right now. He's the only wide receiver right now for the Bears who actually has a touchdown. DJ Moore still hasn't got cooking yet. Cole Kmet, really, he's done a little bit of stuff, but really hasn't been able to get much going yet either. So, we'll see. This Cowboys cornerback room has, been really banged up. I will note as well, the Bears also have Luther Burden that they got in this past year's NFL draft, but, he's only got 2 catches for 2 yards too, and Colston Loveland as well at that tight end spot really hasn't done much for them either. The Cowboys are trying to get, healthier at this cornerback room right now. On Thursday, all of the corners except for Deron Bland were out there practicing. All your regular guys anyways, with Trayvon Diggs and Kyer Elam and those guys. But look, man, Trayvon Diggs just, doesn't necessarily look to be the healthiest still right now. Obviously, it's kind of a week-to-week thing. He's getting a little bit healthier as the year goes on, but in that game versus the Giants, both him and Malik Hooker were credited with over 100 yards allowed. Those guys got to be better because as of right now, they're like 2 of your better defensive backs. So you really got to ask for more out of those guys, especially going up against a very talented Bears wide receiver room led by Rome Odunze and DJ Moore. All right, we'll continue with some more matchups to watch here in just a bit, but today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. I use Prize Picks for a bunch of different types of sporting events, whether it's MMA, boxing, professional football, basketball, baseball, college sports, and so much more. Prize Picks is a ton of fun, and if you guys know ball, you can win real money all season long on Prize Picks. This is what we got cooked up on our power play this weekend, going with a more than touchdown passes for Caleb Williams. That's all you could really choose on that one, so going with a more than just one touchdown pass is all Caleb Williams needs. And then CeeDee Lamb, like I said earlier in the video today, he's going back to last year, 4 straight games with over 100 yards, so going with a more than on him on receiving yards. And then Patrick Mahomes, that is the max discount. Make sure you get that into your Prize Picks lineups this weekend. All he needs is a half passing yard, so make sure you guys include that into your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks is super simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money today. Prize Picks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 different states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. So download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link is going to be down in the description of today's show. It's also going to be down at the pinned comment of today's show as well. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, my third matchup to watch is going to be the Cowboys interior defensive line against the Bears interior offensive line. The Bears went out and they really revamped their offensive line, especially at that center and those 2 guard spots. Last week, the PFF grades for them were not terrible, but they're not great either. You know, Braxton Jones really did not have a very good day at that left tackle spot for him. And, you know, with what the Cowboys interior defensive line has done with Kenny Clark, the addition of him, and Osa Odighizuwa, both of those guys have had really good seasons to start off, I think, in the first couple of games here. They've done a good job, really. They did a pretty decent job. I think they held Saquon Barkley at only like 60 yards or something like that against the Eagles, and the Giants couldn't get anything going on the ground either. Both him and Odighizuwa have done a really, really good job of plugging up those holes. You see their overall PFF grade there, both in the 70s. That's a really good thing, especially with those interior guys. You know, they're going out there. They don't necessarily, get a lot of stats. It's one of those very unselfish, position groups where, you're just trying to plug up holes and then somebody else can make the tackle. That is totally fine. I think those 2 guys have been doing a really good job, and they have to bottle up a guy like DeAndre Swift. So far this season, averaging 4 yards per carry for the Bears. And I thought even in their first game, the Bears, in that Monday Night Football game against the Vikings, early on in that game, DeAndre Swift was looking really, really good. He was getting some runs, especially on the outside. And, it's just a couple of things, some penalties kind of moved the Bears back and they just kind of fell apart. But, man, DeAndre Swift has done a pretty decent job this year. It's going to be a challenge to, keep him at bay in this game this weekend. All right, Tom will be back this weekend for our Cowboys versus Bears watch party. So if you don't like me and you miss Tom, that's totally fine. I totally understand that. But if you're not subscribed, make sure you are right here to the Cowboys Report at youtube.com/at Cowboys TV. All right, my fourth matchup to watch there went full Ron Burgundy on that, being the Alabama Football Report host as well. My fourth matchup to watch is going to be the coaches. Brian Schottenheimer against Ben Johnson. There are a lot of things when it comes to these 2 coaches. Both of them are their first year being NFL head coaches. Brian Schottenheimer, it was kind of this offseason was kind of the redheaded stepchild. If, nobody wanted him, in the coaching carousel here. And then Ben Johnson was kind of, the most coveted head coach candidate in the offseason. So, this matchup between these 2 coaches, Brian Schottenheimer got his first win last week as a NFL head coach against the Giants. And, there have been a few questionable things. You had that botched field goal opportunity right before halftime. Maybe you just want Brandon Aubrey to go out there from the 50-yard line and kick a field goal or something like that instead of trying to get a little bit closer. But I do understand the thought process there. You just got to get out of bounds on that front because you didn't have any timeouts. But there have been some things that just first-year head coaches, man, they make some silly decisions sometimes. Ben Johnson, still 0-2 as a head coach, and he's trying to get his team to play up to the standard. He went out this week during their press conference and kind of called his guys out, saying that they are still not practicing like a championship team. And, when it comes to first-time head coaches, things you look at, who's going to manage the clock better, who's going to be able to get their team prepared the best during the week, situational decisions. Ben Johnson will go for it a bunch on fourth downs. How are the Cowboys going to respond in those different types of situations on defense? And I know this sounds stupid, but know the rules. Brian Callahan's been catching a lot of heat for the Tennessee Titans this past week for not challenging a play where the wide receiver, caught the ball and his elbow got down in bounds and he didn't, know, or I don't really know. He kind of walked back a statement. He didn't realize that one elbow equals 2 feet. So that's one of these things where you just got to end up, or you got to know the rules if you're going to be an NFL head coach here. And I think this is a really big matchup between these two ball coaches, both in their first year as NFL coaches. One of them also being in Ben Johnson looking for his first victory. So I want to hear from you guys down inside the comment section. This one is a fun one. Who is the better head coach? Nobody wanted that BS during the offseason, but everybody wanted a BJ. So let me know who the better head coach is down in the comment section. Type BS for Brian Schottenheimer or BJ for Ben Johnson. All right, my last matchup to watch. It's going to be Andrew Billings for the Bears versus Brock Hoffman at that center spot. Grady Jarrett has kind of been banged up for the Bears, and he didn't practice on Wednesday. His status is going to be kind of up in the air this week for the Bears. I think the worst-case scenario for the Cowboys on offense is that Brock Hoffman goes out there and gets lit up all game. I certainly hope that doesn't happen, but it is a possibility. I will make note as well. On Thursday, the Cowboys actually worked Tyler Booker a little bit at that center spot in case of emergency, but really don't want to end up doing that because then you're going to have to be shuffling guys around. You're going to have to move somebody else to guard. And, it's just you don't want that to happen. You want your offensive line to really have that continuity and stay in the same spot. So hopefully Brock Hoffman can have himself a pretty decent game on Sunday because this is his first start as well for the Cowboys in the 2025 season.